AITA for being vocal about how unhappy I was about being taken to Africa for vacation. Hi Reddit. I, 18M, just graduated high school and need some perspective on whether I was out of line here. For months leading up to summer break, my parents had been planning a month-long trip to an African country where they were born and where I was born too. Although I moved to the US when I was 4 and don't remember much of it. From the beginning I was clear that I didn't want to go. My reasoning was that I'd worked really hard all year juggling AP classes, dual enrollment college courses, and a 30-hour-a-week software engineering internship, and I wanted to spend my last high school summer on my own terms, due to it having sentimental value to me. I plan to continue working on my internship and put time into a passion project, an app I've been building, along with other hobbies and things I enjoy that will also help achieve my goals, not spend a month abroad in a place I didn't feel connected to. Despite my objections, my parents bought the tickets and kept pushing me to go. I only agreed after my dad said he wanted me to meet his sister, who'd had a stroke, and visit his father's grave, neither of which ended up happening. We also agreed that I'd leave after 2 weeks, instead of staying the full month. Here's where I might be the asshole. Once we got there, I absolutely hated it. I tried, but it just wasn't for me, and due to language barriers, it was hard to connect with my extended family. I also had some unfortunate mishaps in the form of a stomach bug, my PS4 breaking the only thing I brought to cope, being somewhere I didn't want to be, my luggage being lost by the airline, and not being able to shake the resentment of being pressured into a trip I didn't want. At first I tried to communicate my discomfort and wishes to leave a week earlier. However, I was dismissed by them saying things like, "This is your home," and that I agreed on 2 weeks. I ended up lashing out. I told my parents I didn't like being there, that I wanted to go home early, and even said things like, "There's nothing here for me," which probably stung. The worst part being my extended family that I had just met knowing about my unhappiness after my mom leaked it. While venting to my girlfriend, she told me she felt bad for my parents, that they were probably really excited to share this trip with me, and must have been hurt by my attitude, which I can see, but I can't help feeling like they disrespected my wishes and forced me into something I was clear I didn't want, because even though I said no, it didn't feel like it was an option. Honestly, I felt a bit betrayed by my GF, but her challenging me made me want to look for more perspectives, to see if I'm missing something. So Reddit, AITA, for being so vocal about not wanting to be there and for expressing how unhappy I was during the trip. Edit. I've seen a few comments, and I get that I might come off as spoiled without full context, especially considering how the trip sounds on paper. But just to clarify, a big reason for my frustration was that we didn't actually do the things I was told we would, especially seeing my grandpa's grave, who I've only heard stories about. Most of the trip was spent sitting at home with relatives, who I couldn't really communicate with due to the language barrier, and we only left the house once to see a waterfall, which was cool, but honestly not worth the full 2 weeks. I had to pause my internship mid-project, which I was leading, and it really threw off the momentum of something I was deeply invested in, which was something I did communicate, but was dismissed. And yeah, I get that mentioning the PS4 definitely comes off as bratty, but it wasn't about the console itself. It was one of a bunch of little things that just compounded how out of place and unheard I felt. For what it's worth, I paid for it myself, and it was only intended to be played during downtime think before bed. I also did try to engage while I was there. I helped out around the house, did daily chores, and was never actively rude to anyone. I wasn't walking around with an attitude. I just wasn't exactly smiling or enthusiastic, because honestly, I wasn't enjoying myself. Most of the time I was just trying to be polite, shaking hands, sitting through conversations I couldn't really follow due to the language barrier, and trying not to make anyone uncomfortable. The only time I lashed out was privately with my parents after days of feeling not really doing anything. It definitely wasn't perfect, but I did make an effort not to bring anyone else down for clarification.